Hey guys, Renkai-san here. In the early 2010s, there was an up-and-coming Atlanta rapper who was relatively young at the time. He would release multiple mixtapes under the 1017 label and would later get himself a deal with 300 Entertainment. His debut album wouldn't arrive until 2019, and by this point, he has built his fame up through these mixtapes and building connections with pre-established Atlanta acts such as Gucci Mane and T.I. This rapper's name was Young Thug. Throughout his career, he found success through many songs he released at the time, leading up to what would be his debut album titled So Much Fun. And heading into the 2020s, he would become a superstar. Unfortunately, however, he got caught up in some legal issues that ended up leaving a stain on his career. So today I'm gonna detail you guys on how Young Thug would ruin his reputation after his prison release and would go on to have the worst run of all time. But before we get into how exactly he ruined his reputation, let's first fill you in on the situation at hand. 2022 would be the year where not only Young Thug found himself in trouble but also his label mates as well. This was the year after he released his second studio album Punk, which charted at number 1 on the US Billboard 200 chart. In June of that year, him and about 30 other signees of Young Stoner Life Records were being accused of leading an Atlanta gang. This goes as far back as 2017 when Young Thug was plotting to kill YFN Lucci in an Atlanta gang war. An individual by the name of Antonio Someone, also known as Obama, was involved in the operation who attempted to stab YFN Lucci in prison because there was allegedly a price on his head. He offered to take a plea deal to get out of jail amidst him getting arrested on attempted murder charges. Another piece of evidence that tied to gang activity was Young Thug being involved with the shooting of Lil Wayne's tour bus back in 2015 when the both of them had beef against each other, which they would eventually resolve in 2024 when they collaborated together on the song Bless. The YSL trial was a very lengthy trial that took 170 days and 3 years. During the whole trial, Thug kept his spirits high by listening to Lil Baby during the proceedings and telling everyone that things will be alright. But it turns out things were not alright. During the trial, an altercation involving an individual by the name of Diamante Kendrick ended up getting him injured. The people in that courtroom were quick to take care of the situation. But also in December of 2022, before that all happened, Young Thug would lose a close collaborator he came up with in the late 2010s, someone who was like a brother to Young Thug. His name was Gunna. In December of 2022, Gunna ended up taking a plea deal that would shorten his overall sentence and get him out of having to appear in court. He would maintain his innocence and complete 500 hours of community service after his release to free all of his charges. However, one thing he told the judge as he accepted the plea deal would get him labeled as a snitch by literally everyone. And this would make him lose everything he had with Thug. He purposefully got Thug a life sentence after he reportedly told him that he had a gun in the car, most likely in connection to the tour bus shooting. Then Thug would spend the next 3 years of his life behind bars with no bail posted. A few years would pass and the case would get assigned a new judge by the name of Brian Steele, who would help speed up the process of the whole proceedings. He was able to help out Young Thug's sentence by being able to get him a release date of December 2024 where he would be on house arrest and serve the rest of his sentence before he was declared a free man. As Thug was now out of jail, people were excited to see how he was able to make a comeback musically and what he would say about the whole situation. His first feature of his to release after he became a free man was on Lil Baby's 4th studio album Wham, which was an acronym for Who Harder Than Me, and the song in question would be Dumb Dumb and Dumber with Future in the mix as well. After multiple features on various songs and albums, it seemed like Thug had a new album in the works named UY Scuddy, which was planned to release in May. He also released the lead single for it on April 25th. However, it wouldn't all be smooth sailing from here. Along with a tweet he made on May 22nd where he called Kid Cudi a rat for testifying against Diddy, who mentally abused him. Phone calls he made where he called out multiple rappers were leaked earlier this month. A song by the name of Closing Arguments where he called out the rappers that used to serve YSL would also leak on the 6th of September. And at this point, his reputation was plummeting fast. He would go on to be labeled a snitch. This was nearly a month after his appearance on a futuristic Suma, which was considered questionable by many. It was also during this time that he went after Kendrick Lamar after he denied a feature from him where Kendrick clearly said that he wasn't gonna hold his hand. It was also revealed that he paid streams to make Gunna's album go number 1, which were fake streams he used to get Gunna more popular. At this point, the UY Scuddy rollout was cooked, but it would get even worse leading up to the days of its release. On September 12, nearly a week after Closing Arguments got leaked, he dropped a song called Miss My Dogs where he apologized to every rapper he called out since then and ensuring that he was sorry. The internet was skeptical with his response, but people were still looking forward to its release. Around the time this was happening, Lil Baby was slated to release an album named The Leaks on September 5th. But it kept getting delayed and delayed. And at this point it isn't coming out. Whether that's because of his label or this whole situation, I'll let you decide. But as we got closer to the end of September, more anticipation drew in regards to the album. It would have released on September 18th, but he delayed it in favor for Cardi B and her long-awaited second studio album AMI The Drama. He then confirmed the final release date for the album, which would be September 26th, but right as it got close to that date, he unveiled the official album cover for it, which got a lot of negative reception online. He depicted himself as white on the cover, which somehow led to him having worse album covers than Sabrina Carpenter and Kesha. That must have been his revelation after beating the charges. I must be white, is probably what his thought process was. So then the album released. And it was bad. It currently sits at a 42 on Album of the Year and is currently his lowest rated album he has ever released. Yep, Thug is officially washed. Now I'll pass it over to you guys. What were your thoughts on this entire Thug situation? Do you think he did it to himself, or was it a direct result of all that happened? Leave your opinion in the comments down below. And until next time, see you in the next video. Bye.